Welcome back to Newstalgia, the show where something old becomes something new. This week, I'm going to talk Halo. First thing I'd like to say is most definitely not a popular opinion. I dislike Halo. As I've said before, I grew up with Sony systems, so I missed out on owning an original Xbox during its life cycle, so I missed out on the Halo franchise. Well, up until Halo 3 launched on the Xbox 360, but even then I wasn't a fan of it. I understood the appeal, but the gameplay and multiplayer wasn't for me. I've never liked the concept of first-person shooters where you can't really aim down the sights of the gun, which is something I've disliked about the early Halo games. I also dislike a lack of customization, which again, the early Halo games had. I'm sorry to crap on this series, but I want to express going into this, I'm not overly fond of the series. As usual, for this video, I'll strictly be focusing on Halo 1. I'll touch upon the rest through later videos. Anyway, Halo. Let's talk about it. One of the first big launches on the Xbox One was the Halo Master Chief Collection. It featured Halo 1-4 and eventually had Halo ODST added as a DLC. What's impressive though is the fact that the developers are still adding to it. They just recently announced that not only is the collection finally coming out for PC, but they'll be finally adding Halo Reach to it, which actually makes me really happy. Reach was the only Halo game I actually loved. Most of the credit goes to the fantastic story. But anyway, as of right now, you can only get all of these games by purchasing the collection, which I think is still $69 here in Canada, sometimes less if you catch it on sale. Honestly, that's a pretty good deal. Even I have to admit that you get a lot of bang for your buck. The campaign itself for Halo isn't too long. It's 10 chapters and the playthrough itself is probably around 10 hours. So you get a decent length story, and then of course there's the multiplayer. Sticking to the campaign though, one of the cool features of this game is being able to switch between the original graphics and the new and improved ones. It helps show how much effort the developers spent remastering and working on this game. But outside of that, there isn't much here that I love personally. The story is alright, but I've never really felt a connection to the character of Master Chief, so it's harder for me to get into it personally. Plus, for the most part, I don't really enjoy the weapons, and the gunplay does feel pretty outdated. It doesn't feel as smooth as more modern games like Destiny and Call of Duty, but to defend the developer, they wanted to make a more faithful remaster of the first game. So they focused on updating the visual and sound aspects over changing gameplay. This might just be me as well, but navigating can be pretty tricky sometimes. Without any waypoints showing you where to go and some of the maps being almost like mazes, it can be easy to get lost. Again, that could just be me. A lot of my issues shouldn't be problems for longtime fans, players who have played the first game a lot and truly are nostalgic about it. I feel like my problems, if they are shared, would be for people with the same situation as me. People who are not really connected to the franchise in a nostalgic way, and they don't have the maps memorized enough to easily fly through the story. At the end of the day, you either love Halo or you don't. Unfortunately, I don't. This series has a huge fan base, and I can definitely understand why, but it's never really appealed to me and still doesn't. If you're a fan of the franchise, who for some reason hasn't picked this up yet, it's definitely worth it. If you're not too familiar with the franchise or haven't really been big on it, I'd wait until it goes on sale again. As I said, you do get a lot of content for your money, plus it is a franchise that's worth experiencing, but full price tag is a tough pill to swallow if you might not even finish the franchise. I will be talking about the multiplayer, but in a separate video once I've covered all the other games in this collection, mainly because the multiplayer appears to be all the games, maps, and modes blended together. But as for now, that's what I've had to say about Halo. I hope you don't hate me, and for now, this has been Newstalgia.